Reminder to universities that are sending students overseas that they need to be on their best behavior because this does pose diplomatic issues for the U.S.?
Well, Rosalind, it's important to note that we do urge all U.S. citizens to avoid the demonstrations in Egypt. We did issue an emergency message for U.S. citizens urging them to avoid Tahrir Square and the immediate surrounding area and to remind them about local laws as well.
Mark, in determining their status, did the Egyptian government share with you what kind of evidence they hold against these three kids?
Again, right now they're being detained. My understanding is that no formal charges have been brought against them. So, we'll continue to monitor it closely.
As far as we can see, the protests are going on in Tahrir. What's your understanding as of today? It looks like this continues. Why do you think, and do you support the cause?
Why do
you think still the crowd is in Tahrir, even though it looks like there is now some concessions made?
Well, again, we spoke yesterday about our concern about the violence that did occur in Egypt, and Toria condemned the excessive force used against protesters. We continue to call on Egyptian security forces to exercise maximum restraint and behave in a disciplined manner that protects the universal rights of these Egyptian citizens to peacefully express themselves. What we've said all along here, though, is that we do have parliamentary elections slated to take place on Monday, and we need to. That needs to be where Egyptians express themselves and their desire for a democratic future for their country through the ballot box.
And you remain confident that this election will go on time?
We continue to believe that it can go on, yeah.
Are you still the vote given the amount of violence and their distrust of the military?
Again, as Field Marshal Tantawi said yesterday, this is, he provided a path that talked about these elections, talked about a newly appointed civilian government, as well as a full transition to or presidential elections by next summer. And this is the way that Egyptians can create the kind of democracy for which they're protesting in Tahrir Square. It's extremely important that they exercise their right to vote.
Mark, are you still satisfied, according to what was said yesterday, with the reassurances of General Tantawi?
Well, it's really up to the Egyptian people to evaluate what he said and to make their judgments based on, the timetable that he laid out. He did pledge to appoint a new cabinet and to hold presidential elections, as I said, and proceed with parliamentary elections as planned. We believe that's important. We also believe that it's important that the SCAF ensure that free and fair elections proceed expeditiously, and that their security of these elections is ensured, and that in an environment that's free from any intimidation, and that this newly appointed civilian government be able to exercise real executive power immediately.
Yes, please. I mean, you are repeating and saying again and again fair and free elections. And there are some concerns about the presence of international observers, which was even defined by the SCAF and other people that they don't want international intervention. They want witnesses, as they call it, quote unquote. What do you think? I mean, is there any American official or non-governmental organizations that are going to participate as observers or witnesses to these elections in order to guarantee that this is fair and free
well,
election?
we, as I think you know, we have offered that kind of support to the Egyptian government. We have organizations such as the National Democratic Institute that conduct these kinds of operations on a regular basis and do so in a very objective manner. And indeed, their mandate is to simply act as international observers. What's important, as I said, is that these elections be seen by the Egyptian people as credible and transparent. That's the responsibility of the SCAF to create that kind of atmosphere and that kind of environment, so that these elections can be taken seriously by the Egyptian people, and again, building towards eventual presidential elections, a new constitution, et cetera, that will result in a true democracy for Egypt.
How these concerns or, let's say, the thoughts or ideas or, let's say, attitudes are transferred beside the ambassador to the Ambassador Feldman, or who is, I mean...
Well, we're in regular discussions with the Egyptian authorities, and that's often at a variety of levels, from the secretary on down to Ambassador Patterson in Cairo. Yeah, and so we're engaged with the Egyptian authorities. Again, our goal here is to provide whatever support we can so that credible, transparent elections can take place. But ultimately, this is something that the Egyptian people need to see done.
Can we move to Syria?
Sure.
The French.
Are we done with Egypt?
I
Or?
have one more on that.
Okay, go ahead.
Clashes have been still going on 4 or 5 days, even today, according to activists and on the social network sites. I know you began blaming, or you began telling to Egyptian military force openly that they should stop. But is this going to trigger or already triggered any kind of reconsideration on your part in terms of your aid to Egyptian military, or in general in the relations?
Well, again, our focus right now in the immediate is the immediate situation on the ground in Tahrir Square, and we believe that that the security forces, Egyptian security forces, need to show more restraint. That they did use excessive force against protesters. We made that very clear in our public, as I'm saying right now, but also in our private conversations with them. Yep.
Foreign Minister Juppé spoke today of the Syrian National Council as being a legitimate interlocutor, which, as you know, is the same old phrase used with the TNC or the NTC or whatever you want to call it in Libya. They went from being kind of just a nebulous group to a legitimate interlocutor to then being the legitimate interlocutor for the Libyan people. Is the same thing happening in Syria? And also, could you address Foreign Minister Juppé's comments about possibly providing some kind of a humanitarian corridor?
Yeah, in answer to your second question first, I just saw his public comments about humanitarian corridor. I haven't seen the full context and any of the details surrounding it. What we've been saying is that we do want to see, as the Arab League has asked Syria to provide. Oh, I just said I've just seen Foreign Minister Juppé's comments expressed in the press. I haven't seen any details about this humanitarian corridor, so it's hard for me to react to it. I think we'll be reaching out to the French to find out more information. But what we said all along is that we want to see humanitarian assistance provided. We want to see human rights monitors on the ground, and we want to see the violence end. In terms of, I'm sorry, his first point about the Syrian National Council, we've also said that it is a credible interlocutor. It's one of several right now, and we're in touch and contact with all of these groups. We do think that the Syrian National Council has been a leading force, but it's, as I said, one of several opposition groups, all of whom are, we believe, taking steps to become more cohesive and more representative of the Syrian people.
So how does the situation is influenced today after the UN vote?
Well, we've got the Arab League meeting, I think, tomorrow. There's a ministerial committee on Syria today in preparation for tomorrow's meeting of foreign ministers. We'll look to that. There was some discussion of sanctions being put in place, economic sanctions. But we're going to continue to apply pressure. We're very pleased and gratified that the Arab League has shown leadership in this regard, and especially in the past couple of weeks in confronting Assad and his human rights abuses, and now it appears on the cusp of taking real action.
Okay. Will there be, as a result of this, a renewed effort at the Security Council to introduce another resolution?
Well, we've always said that the Security Council remains an option, but we want to make sure that that it's going to be an effective venue for action against Syria. Yeah, go ahead, Tejender. Oh, go ahead, and then back.
Can you foresee or support any solution similar to what happened in Yemen that may take place in Syria? Political solution?
It's time for Assad to step down. He has lost all credibility with the Syrian people. He needs to allow for a democratic transition to take place. First and foremost, we want the violence to end. Every day it's scores of innocent civilians killed. The latest count was 33, which included 6 children. So our immediate goal here is to see that kind of daily violence end. And then next steps are that we need to see Assad step down and allow for a democratic transition to take place. I don't want to predict how that transition will look, but it's absolutely paramount that it happen. Yeah, and back to you, Dan, and then to you, Peter.
There are reports in Pakistan that Ambassador Haqqani will be investigated, prosecuted. So have you contacted the Pakistani government, or has Islamabad contacted you for any clarifications or any?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So what will be the U.S. stand if he is investigated and prosecuted?
Well, again, I think this is a Pakistani issue. I'm not aware of these reports. But it sounds like an internal matter. Yeah, go ahead, Peter.
Different subject. Today, Russian president said that Russia may pull out of the START if U.S. will develop missile defense in Europe, and Russia may place Iskander missiles in Kaliningrad Oblast. Do you have any reaction to this statement?
Sure. As you well know, as someone who's followed this issue over many years, Peter, we've been open and transparent with Russia on our plans for missile defense for a long time. We believe our missile defense reflects a growing threat to our allies from Iran that we're committed to deterring. We've been clear all along for many years now that this system is not directed against Russia. In multiple channels, we've explained to Russian officials that the missile defense systems being deployed in Europe do not and cannot threaten Russia's strategic deterrent. And just speaking to about the START treaty, the new START treaty benefits the security and stability of both our countries, and its implementation is going well, and we see no basis for threats to withdraw from it.
Well, what do you think of his threat to target missile defense sites in Europe?
Well, I just would say that we don't see any reason for Russia to take any military countermeasures to missile defenses that won't affect the strategic balance between the U.S. and Russia. Yeah,
well, fair enough, but I mean, isn't it kind of annoying, worrisome?
I think
that it just seems like we're heading back into a little bit of a Cold War here.
Unfortunately, this is the rhetoric from Russia hasn't changed, even though we've seen for many years, or we've tried for many years to engage with them constructively on missile defense. We're going to continue to try to engage with them constructively on missile defense. We want that kind of cooperation because we believe it's in both our interests, Europe's interests, and Russia's interests.
And you don't think threats like this hurt chances of
I think
cooperation? And you're not going to take a different tack now that he's come out and said something like this?
Well, again, I think our focus and commitment remains on how to work productively and constructively with Russia on a cooperation in
Well,
missile
are
defense.
these comments productive and constructive towards in dealing with the